And my own personal testimony is what it is. I grew up here in this church. I heard the gospel of Jesus Christ in this church. I can remember the very morning that I was 10 years old. I was sitting on the second row of the balcony up there. And Dr. Pryor finished the sermon. I don't remember what he preached on. Didn't remember a lot of what he preached on. Perhaps I should have remembered more. But I remember the hymn starting, "Wherever he leads, I'll go." And I could not get down from that balcony fast enough. And I was running down the aisle before the first verse was over. "Wherever he leads, I'll go. Wherever he leads, I'll follow. I'll follow my Christ who loves me so. Wherever he leads, I'll go." And in that morning, and in that moment, and in that time, I accepted Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord to the glory of God the Father Almighty. And I believe my name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. However, it was kind of like this music here. I tried to find that played on the organ, but I couldn't find it played on the organ, so that just kind of, it was very sedate, very calm. After I accepted Jesus, I filled out my card right down here on the front. I got baptized in a couple of weeks, and I was a member of the church. And I knew I was saved. And I knew my name was written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And I knew I was a child of God. But there just seemed to be, I don't know, something that was missing. So when I was 16 years old, I went off to a campus life convention, New Year's Eve, 1970, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We took 6 bus loads of high school students. That in and of itself is a miracle that we got there and got back. Imagine traveling with 6 bus loads of high school students and a few counselors. And Becky Maltby and I were the only ones who knew each other on the trip. And as God would have it, number one, there was a bad weekend for the snow. There was no snow, and we were going there to ski. The temperatures were a little warmer, and so the ice was kind of watery and puddly where we were skating on the ice. But in the course of getting ready, I came down with a cold and got laryngitis. And for the next 3 days, I couldn't talk above a whisper. Now, I don't believe God inflicts us with sickness and illness, but that was part of God's plan for my life, because I couldn't talk. So I had to listen a whole lot. And I listened to the speakers in the evenings, and then we'd have recreation during the day, and then we'd have prayer times, late mornings and stuff. And it was a great time of fellowship. And man, I just never experienced the reality of Jesus in the way that I was seeing him lived out in these lives around me. And so on that night, they had, "This is your life, Jesus Christ." And it was kind of a dramatic portrayal of the reality of the life of Jesus. And they invited people from Jesus' past to come and address him as a person. He was on the stage. And then they invited people from the present to come and address Jesus. And I remember I couldn't decide, was it an invitation or not? But it didn't matter to me, because I wanted to go talk to Jesus. And that night I went forward. And what little bit I remembered afterward, it was bright lights. It was visionary experience. I felt saturated with the love of God in a way that I'd never felt it before. And it was a little different from the experience before. It was more like this experience. So good. I've got you. And that's going to sing with you the rest of the afternoon, right? Isn't it? And you're going to say, "I never thought I'd hear James Brown in our Baptist church." But isn't our salvation supposed to be something that you feel, that you experience? Because on the day of Pentecost, it was such a dramatic experience that when people looked at that church, they thought they had been drinking all night. And Peter had to stand up and say, "We're not drunk like you are, we think we are." These people have just been filled with the Holy Spirit. 120 have wandered out on the streets at 9 o'clock in the morning. The bars aren't open yet. But But there was such joy and there was such an experience. And it was a second encounter of God. And it was where people just opened up to God. And I remember coming back and I remember talking to Roger Stewart and some others here in their church. And Roger was trying to prepare me. He's a good youth director. He said, well, be careful now, because he said, this is an emotional experience and you'll come down off of this and you'll get through this emotional experience and then you'll go back to normal living. It ain't happened yet.